Hi guys, and welcome to this video where I'm going to show you 5 of my favorite symmetrical scales that I like to use for outside playing. I've been getting a few questions from people online asking me what scales I use for my outside playing, and I thought I'd show you some of them, the symmetrical ones that I like to use quite regularly in my playing. But before we start looking at these scales, I just wanted to share with you quickly what this video is not and what it is. This video is not going to be a lick-based video where I'm going to show you a bunch of cool licks or lines. I'm also not going to go into a very in-depth analysis of any of these scales, but merely I'm going to show you the construction of these scales and maybe talk about the intervallic formula a little bit. And then I'm going to leave the work to learn different patterns and different lines. That's going to be on you. I would also like to be clear that these are not the only scales that I use for outside playing, and I'm not suggesting that these are the best scales for outside playing. You can pretty much use any scales or any modes for outside playing. That's all about like musical creativity and what kind of sound you're going for. But I just wanted to show you 5 symmetrical scales that hopefully can be useful in your playing. So let's check them out. Okay, let's start by taking a look at the first one of these 5 symmetrical scales that I'm about to show you. And the first one I wanted to talk about is the diminished half-whole scale. Now, some of you might already know about the diminished scale or the diminished sound, which pretty much is stacking minor thirds on top of each other. You get this kind of sound. And now if you add some notes in between in a symmetrical pattern, you get the diminished scale, and there are 2 of them, and we're going to start with the first one, which is like the half-whole diminished scale. So I'm going to start by showing you the construction of the scale from an intervallic point of view, and all these scales I'm about to show you will be in the key of A for simplicity's sake. So here's the construction of the A diminished scale half-whole. So root, flat 2, flat 3, major third, flat 5, perfect 5th, major 6th, flat 7, and then we're back on the root. So those are the intervallic structure of the scale. So now I'm going to show you what it looks like in, let's say, 2 or 3 octaves in one pattern. And then I will leave it up to you, as I said earlier, to come up with the rest of the pattern and figure that out across the entire fretboard. So here it is. The second scale we're going to take a look at is also a diminished scale, but this one is the whole half diminished scale. The one we did before was the half whole. And this scale is a little bit different in terms of what it sounds like and also the intervallic formula of the scale. Now, like I told you in the beginning of this video, the purpose of this video is not to show you an in-depth analysis of every one of these scales, because that would be beyond the realm of what this video is about. That would make this video too long. So I'm not going to tell you what chords these scales work over. That's something you have to figure out on your own. But I'm merely going to show you the constructions of the scale and what they look like and what they sound like. So here's the construction of the diminished whole half scale in the key of A. So we start on the root, then we got the second, minor third, perfect 4, flat 5, flat 6, major 6, major 7, and then we're back on the root. Now, let's take a look at this scale more up close. All right, let's look at scale number 3, which also happens to be one of my personal favorites, the Augmented scale. It has this really nice open sound to it that I like a lot. And you remember I told you earlier in the video that the diminished sound is usually constructed by stacking minor thirds on top of each other, like this. Which gives it a very dark, ominous sound, almost. Whereas the augmented sound is actually stacking major thirds on top of each other. And then we add a couple more notes to get the augmented scale. So let's look at its construction now. So root, flat 3, major third, perfect 5th, sharp 5, major 7, and then we're back on the octave. So it's a 6-note scale. So let's take a look at that scale up close. Okay, this next scale is commonly known as the whole tone scale, and this one has also a really open sound, just like the augmented scale. And I think the first time I really got in contact with this scale was when I was young and watching The Simpsons. And part of the theme song, they had this little line, almost something like this. Like that. It's almost like, sounds like you're falling down a stair or something. Like a circus vibe to it. And back then I didn't know that that was actually the whole tone scale being played. But let's take a look at this scale, because it's actually really nice. So we got root, 2nd, major 3rd, sharp 4, sharp 5, flat 7, and then root. So let's take a look at this scale up close. So we reached the 5th and final symmetrical scale that we're going to take a look at today. And this one is also a personal favorite of mine, called the Messiaen Mode 3 scale. And this is a scale I got in touch with from one of my biggest heroes, Alan Holdsworth, who was using this scales quite frequently in his playing. And this scale is quite advanced in its way to visualize and to play, so you probably have to spend quite some time with the scale to get comfortable playing it. But it also has a lot of possibilities within this scale, so I think it's really worth checking out and getting to know. So let's check out the intervallic construction of the Messiaen Mode 3 scale. So we got root, second, minor third, major third, flat 5, perfect fifth, flat 6, dominant 7 or flat 7, major 7, and root. So once again, let's look at this scale up close. So there you have it, 5 symmetrical scales that I like to use for outside playing. Now, once again, let me just clarify that there are plenty of more scales you can use for outside playing. And these are not the only ones that I use. And I'm not suggesting that these are the best scales to use. That's all personal preference. But thank you so much for watching this video, and if you liked it, please like and comment and subscribe to my channel. That makes it all worth it. I'm gonna try to put more lesson material on my site more frequently. So thank you for watching once again, and I see you next time. Thank you. Bye.